Shakur Stevenson delivers on everything, pulls up in a Tom and Jerry hat and shuts everyone up. That puts on by far the most exciting fight of his career. But he would more important than that because we keep talking about with Shakur or Haney and other guys, entertainment and all that. And I don't really like to take it there. I like to talk about the skill set and being a complete skilled fighter does mean holding your own in the pocket and Shakur did that beautifully in this fight. He knew heading in. He said, "This isn't Oscar Valdez. This is the guy. This is my Maidana. This is the guy that's going to close the gap, whether I like it or not. Not going to be able to turn him all night. I'm going to have to get busy in the pocket." And so the heading in between a lot of the talk he was doing and the Mexican bell and saying Ray Robinson's buns, I was like, I got Shakur in this fight. His pedigree won't allow me to pick against him, but man just like Berlanga, to a slightly lesser degree than Berlanga went to another level with it, you're setting yourself up for when shit talking goes wrong kind of moment. And there's a chance this guy can Broner Maidana you. Just be relentless, be on top of you. You can't keep him off, and it's a long night. Instead, it was Mayweather Maidana. And in a lot of sequences, like Mayweather De La Hoya, there was a few sequences in this fight that looked straight out of those two fights. And Shakur, he threw more combinations in this fight than we've seen from him ever. It was just a super entertaining fight. Zepeda fought a hell of a fight. He did everything he possibly could. I thought he was slighted on the scorecards. I thought he could have deserved as much as 4 rounds. I gave him three, 117, 111. He's the first guy to have a highlight reel moment on Shakur when he got him with the power jab along the ropes in the third round. But I just want to give credit to Stevenson. All credit to him. That was a beautiful fight to watch and a beautiful performance from him. I think he said after the fight, I don't really want to fight like that again. No, but forget entertainment. That was what was required against this opponent. And so entertainment or not, that was the skills required. And I think I think that's speaking more Shakur's language. It's not always trying to, petition to these guys on entertainment value. Make it a skill thing. I think that's a discussion they'll respect more than entertain me, right? And so he executed beautifully in the pocket. I said before the fight, don't leave anything on your plate. Finish your plate. He finished his plate and yeah, had a great performance. What'd you think, Raheem?
I want to commend the judges. To be fair, when the fight was done, the media people around me, I was discussing. I was like, man, these fuckers, they're going to give Zepeda too many rounds. They're going to think that with Shakur's in the corner, he's taking punishment and losing. They are going to make this a way closer fight than it should be. And I was a little worried. I was honestly a little bit worried. And I only gave Zepeda 2 rounds in a very entertaining fight. It's one of those things that on paper, if you read the fight, it is not going to tell you what happened in the
Right.
fight. It was entertaining. Zepeda came, he did the best he could do and brought real pressure, real moments, and he just didn't edge rounds, is the difference. It was a fight that at any time you could be like, if he hits him with something clean, and we saw what I think it was the second round where it looked like he hurt Shakur. I don't think
Third
he
round with
actually hurt
a
him.
power jab. And
Yeah,
he
when he
was a
lay on the
little
rope.
off balance on the ropes. He got
Yeah,
Shakur in a certain
just
position
caught
for
him at a
him.
good angle. Feet
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
little bit off the ground, and he stumbled a bit. You know what? If the ropes hadn't been there, he might have got a knockdown. However, he didn't. And I don't think Shakur was actually hurt. I think, again, he was caught in the way that we just described. But it doesn't take away from Zepeda's effort to tell you that I had that 10-2. Like, no question. I could maybe find a third round just because I want to give the kid something for his effort. But he only earned 2 rounds on my card. And I think it was pretty definitive down the line. I love this performance from Shakur.
Mhm.
Wouldn't have suggested it, but that's part of being a fighter. I'm not that guy, so that's why I would have taken the
Good,
safe
fuck your
route.
pitch count.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I would have taken the safe route. And he not only went in there to prove a point, which is what he said and what he did, he showed you all the different stages of aggression that he can be successful at. Because yes, it was Zepeda that brought the pressure to him and forced him to fight, but I don't know that he couldn't have fought the first 5 rounds the way he fought the last 3 if he wanted to. It would have made for a difficult night of entertainment, possibly if he was really staying away and just pot shotting Zepeda, and probably Zepeda would have landed some good big punches here and there, but it wouldn't have been the back and forth that we saw. However, I think Shakur could have made it that kind of fight if he wanted to. And so down the stretch, he showed you that he could do that. He broke Zepeda down methodically through 12 rounds, three different stages of aggression from Shakur. And that was brilliant to watch. I mean, we know boxing, you know what you're looking at. I saw him shifting gears, and he did need to make some adjustments early on. When he was in the corner and I was worried that the judges were going to misscore these rounds, he was downloading information. He was not moving with his feet, but he was slipping with his shoulders and head, and watching the combination rhythm of Zepeda get off, because Zepeda is repetitive. And if you're watching the fight, if you rewatch the fight, you'll see that yes, he throws punches and bunches, but they kind of come on the same rhythm. And a lot of times it's even the same combination. So I think Shakur, and I asked him this in the post-fight interview, was he downloading information and getting just enough off of those punches and slipping just enough shots so he wasn't taking punishment, but then able to predict what Zepeda would do next as these rounds went on. And that's in fact exactly what we saw.
Is that what his answer was to the question?
His answer was, no, he made me fight. Yeah,
Right.
I was in the corner. I wasn't taking shots, but he made me fight out, and he put pressure on. So he again gave credit to Zepeda, and it
Right.
wasn't Shakur just doing anything he wanted to do.
Right.
Zepeda
Right.
was putting pressure on him. He was making him fight, because if he didn't fight, then he was going to have to run. And he decided in his mind he wasn't running last night. So by circumstance, he had to stay in the pocket and deal. However, all I'm saying is that when he was in the pocket and on the ropes in the corner, I think that was by choice, not because Zepeda was keeping him in the corner. However, he was doing a good job cutting off the ring when Shakur was moving around the ropes. In the corner, Shakur was deciding to be in the corner. And I think down the stretch, there was a little bit taken off of Zepeda's power and his speed, because he was throwing so many punches. And Shakur was letting him throw all those punches. And then down the stretch, he was just able to pick him off. Bing, heavy shots, bing, heavy shots. And then he knew where the punches were coming and in the rhythm. So he was still able to slip in the middle of the ring, not in the corner. I mean, it was a masterful performance, man. He lets you know what he can do. And to quote Terrence Crawford in our interview after the fight, what you gonna say now? Like,
Just give him a lot of credit. That's how
he
that
answered
goes,
all the
Terrence.
questions.
When the performance ain't the best, you got to say it ain't the best. But when you show out like this, all you can say is that was beautiful. And a few beautiful things he did in this fight. His right hook to the body was money, and the combinations he threw to he just did a beautiful job. 1, 2, 3, super sharp, like they teach it, from the textbook, and then using the two to land the three, and using you throwing 3 or 4 punches just to set up that one straight left hand, or and he was cleaning up with the right hook beautifully to the body and the head. He would punctuate these exchanges, bomb with a beautiful right hook. And the composure with a guy who hits hard isn't he's an accumulation puncher. He's not a one punch puncher, but you're feeling everything on the elbows, on the arms. Zepeda was getting him to the body all night. I know Shakur was catching a lot of that work on the elbows too, but a lot of it was getting home every round. And Zepeda was busy with his jab, and he just for him to have the composure, taking 700, 800 punches coming his way throughout the fight, and just and he, like you said, but the one thing though, when you say maybe he could have done what he did at the end of the fight all night. Part of it, I think, was that pitch count you were talking about. I saw him start to look at the clock in the 10th round, and I think he was thinking to himself, "My hands are starting to feel tender," and
Mm,
like they're
mm.
starting to feel tender. So that pitch count was getting up there, and I think that he also, though, I don't know if he could have done that early in the fight. You might, again, you don't want to give this guy forward momentum and work up a head of steam downhill. So he blunted that moment. He like Cotto Margarito in that first fight. So he blunted that momentum. But to your point, he showed, okay, I don't have to stay here all night if I don't want to. He did that beautiful, put the shoulder in the other guy's chest, push him off, get him back to this. He did it. He would do it to Zepeda 3 or 4 times in a row. Like, nope,
Dude,
get back to the center, get back to the center. And that's where I'm keeping the fight to close it down the stretch. But yeah, that was
that
good.
work in the pocket was a beautiful thing. And
It
I'm
was.
telling you, for the fans who are like really wanting to be boxing analysts who watch this show, rewatch the fight. Watch Shakur go through the gears. You see three different fights inside of these 12 rounds. Watch the adjustments and watch Zepeda as well. Like he had the best game plan he could have possibly put together for Shakur. And it was just down to whether or not Shakur is as good as we think he is, which
Right.
he clearly proved, but he had to prove it. And so, again, even though I only got 2 rounds going to Zepeda, understand that that fighter went in there with the right game plan, gave maximum effort, and gave us a hell of an entertaining show in a way that nobody has been able to do to Shakur yet. And until somebody does it to him again, he might be the only one who gets him like that, unless Shakur decides that he wants to fight this kind of fight. And I said this also to Shakur in the post-fight press conference because I think we might see more of this Shakur, no matter what he says or how smart he is. Boy, that crowd noise, that Crawford off his feet in the ringside, Clarissa Shields shouting your name.
And even
That's
more than
that's intoxicating, bro. That is the kind of shit you want again. You're like, oh, people aren't just golf clapping and whispering to each other. No, I'm the center of attention now. All that energy coming his way. He had the biggest smile I've ever seen on his face at the post-fight press conference, and he keeps saying, "I'm a dog. I had to prove that I'm a dog." Well, you know what? When a dog tastes blood, it's hard to put him back on kibble. I think Shakur is gonna be bloodthirsty in these coming fights.
oh man, bars from I got to take another one from you because you said the fighters they want their credit, they want their credit, and you said no, 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 no. When you show out, you get cash. You don't need credit, right?
Fantastic.
So Shakur didn't need to say give me my credit because he was getting cash right away from everybody, right? And hold on,
He
I
made
can't.
it.
I was gonna say one more thing. Let me edit this. It was one more thing I wanted to say. It was cash uh, and then lastly, to your point about having Crawford on their feet and Clarissa Shields on their feet, he was almost moved to tears. Now he caught himself. He wouldn't let himself do it in the ring, but he wanted to cry,
The red eyes was there, bro. I don't know if a tear dropped, but they had welled up.
and it's because that was pushing yourself to your limit. That was, yeah, you've won all these fights, but you haven't always left it all in the ring every time. And I don't mean leave it all in the ring. You got to take punishment and all that. I mean, the reason why this fight was so excellent is sometimes you gotta step away from the war and all. No, no, no. You got a great fight because both fighters executed at the highest level. And again, I think that's speaking Shakur's language and some of these fighters' language instead of saying, entertain me, is no, we want to see you execute to the best of your abilities. It's not enough to just win sometimes. I want to see your potential brought out of you, right? And that's what made this fight special. It wasn't macho ball. Yeah, yeah, these guys let their balls hang, but it was Zepeda executed his style and his attributes to the highest level, and so did Shakur. And that's when you get something special in a fight. So, but Mayweather only cried at the end of performances like Gotti and Hatton because he got the stoppage and he knew execution wise, skills wise, he left it all in the ring. And that is why you saw Shakur at his most emotional as a professional there.
You'll hear us who live boxing sound like racists a lot of the time because we speak about styles based on your race or nationality. Mexican fighter this, black fighter that. This is what we're talking about when you say Mexican style versus this slick black style. This is what it is. So understand that there's also something inherent about what we saw last night, something classic on its face. This is what we're referencing. And we've seen it play out many different ways. It's not always the slick black fighter that edges it and gets it done. It's not always the Mexican who is, 10-2 on the rounds, but always coming forward and making the action. It can go either way. And the matchup of those two iconic styles clashing, it's the kind of show that even if it is a one-sided decision, it's still a hell of an entertaining night that you'll talk about for the ages. And that's why when we say Mexican style or black slick fighter or the Philly shell or what it is that comes out of these cultures, when they clash, they make for the best of boxing because boxing is life. And you saw two lifestyles, two heritages, two backgrounds, two very committed warriors clash last night. And respect to both men. This is what everybody wanted to see, and they delivered.